B. Economic structures and transformations in the medieval era. 1. Introduction. The medieval era, 5th–15th century, witnessed significant economic transformations shaped by feudalism, trade expansion, technological advancements, and the rise of commercial centers. The economic structures varied across regions, but were primarily based on agrarian production, localized markets, and emerging long-distance trade networks. This document explores the key economic structures and transformations that characterized the medieval period. 2. Feudal economy. Characteristics of feudalism. The medieval economy was predominantly agrarian, structured around the feudal system. Lords owned vast estates, manors worked by serfs, who provided labor in exchange for protection and land use. Economic production was localized, with manorial estates being largely self-sufficient. Payments were often made in kind grain, livestock, services, rather than money. Role of manorialism. The manor was the basic unit of economic life, integrating agriculture, crafts, and local trade. Peasants had obligations to provide labor, pay dues, and offer a share of their harvest to the lord. The three-field system increased agricultural yields, improving food supply and population growth. Local markets allowed surplus goods to be exchanged, though external trade remained limited in early medieval Europe. 3. Expansion of trade and commerce. Revival of long-distance trade. By the 11th century, trade networks expanded due to increased agricultural surplus and population growth. Merchant guilds and trade fairs became central to economic exchange. The Hanseatic League, Northern Europe, and Mediterranean trade routes, dominated by Venice and Genoa, facilitated commerce. Key goods traded included textiles, spices, salt, timber, and metalwork. The role of towns and guilds. Urban centers grew as trade hubs, with towns like Bruges, Florence, and London becoming economic powerhouses. Artisans and merchants organized into guilds, regulating production, wages, and market access. Craft guilds controlled quality and training through apprenticeships, ensuring skill preservation. Merchant guilds coordinated long-distance trade and secured privileges from local rulers. 4. Monetary economy and banking. Introduction of coinage and credit systems. The reintroduction of currency and trade replaced barter, facilitating economic expansion. The Italian city-states pioneered banking institutions, introducing letters of credit and promissory notes. The Medici Bank in Florence and other financial institutions developed early forms of banking practices. Jewish and Lombard bankers played key roles in money, lending, and financial transactions. Rise of commercial capitalism. Increased trade led to the emergence of a capitalist economy in certain regions. Joint stock companies and partnerships allowed merchants to pool resources for large ventures. Urban merchants accumulated wealth, challenging the traditional feudal hierarchy. The development of market towns encouraged investment in infrastructure and trade routes. 5. Technological innovations and agricultural productivity. Agricultural advances. The heavy plow, horse collar, and windmills improved efficiency in farming. Increased productivity led to food surpluses, supporting urban growth and specialization. Crop rotation and better land management practices contributed to sustainability. Impact of technology on industry. Water mills and windmills enhanced grain processing and textile production. Metallurgical advances facilitated weapon and tool manufacturing. Printing and papermaking, introduced via Islamic and Chinese influences, supported economic documentation and trade expansion. 6. The Black Death and economic consequences. Economic disruptions. The Black Death 1347–1351 drastically reduced Europe's population, disrupting labor markets and agriculture. Wage labor replaced serfdom in many areas due to labor shortages. The decline in population led to increased per capita wealth for survivors. Landowners struggled to maintain estates, leading to peasant revolts and socio-economic restructuring. 7. Economic impact of medieval warfare. The Black Death and economic consequences. Economic disruptions. The Black Death 1347-1351 drastically reduced Europe's population, disrupting labor markets and agriculture. Wage labor replaced serfdom in many areas due to labor shortages. The decline in population led to increased per capita wealth for survivors. Landowners struggled to maintain estates, leading to peasant revolts and socio-economic restructuring. Costs and economic consequences of warfare. The Hundred Years' War, 1337-1453, and Crusades drained economic resources, but stimulated military and technological advancements. The need for arms and provisions supported certain industries, particularly metallurgy and shipbuilding. Conquests and territorial expansions facilitated wealth accumulation through taxation and spoils of war. The transition to the early modern economy. Factors leading to economic transformation. 8. The transition to the early modern economy. Factors leading to economic transformation. The Renaissance, 14th and 17th century, spurred economic innovation and commercial expansion. Maritime exploration, age of discovery, shifted trade routes from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic. Emerging nation-states centralized economic policies, promoting mercantilism and overseas trade. Banking families and financial institutions became increasingly influential in shaping European economies. 9. Conclusion. The medieval economy evolved from a localized feudal system to a more interconnected trade-based system. Technological advancements, commercial expansion, and financial innovations laid the foundation for early capitalism. The late medieval period set the stage for the economic transformations that would define the early modern world, including the rise of banking, global trade, and centralized economic policies.